Net. You checked your phone 11 times before breakfast. You scrolled through messages you already read. You opened an app, closed it, opened it again. And somewhere between your second coffee and your commute, an hour disappeared. Not dramatically, not in some crisis. It just slipped away, quiet as water through open fingers. Now multiply that by a week, a month, a year, and ask yourself honestly, where did your life go? This isn't a new problem. Nearly 2,000 years ago, a Roman philosopher watched the same pattern unfold in the wealthiest, most powerful city on earth. People with every resource imaginable still complained they didn't have enough time, and he had something to say about it. His name was Lucius Annius Seneca the Younger, usually known simply as Seneca. He was a Stoic philosopher of ancient Rome, a statesman, a dramatist, and a sharp observer of how human beings actually live versus how they believe they live. Seneca moved through the highest circles of Roman power, serving as advisor to an emperor, accumulating enormous wealth and navigating political dangers that would eventually cost him his life. But here is what matters for us today. Seneca did not write from a peaceful retreat. He wrote from inside the noise. He understood ambition, obligation, distraction, and fear because he lived them daily. When he turned his attention to the problem of time, he was not speaking as a man who had escaped the world. He was speaking as someone drowning in it, just like you. And that is precisely what gives his words weight. He was not theorizing about distraction from a quiet hilltop. He was fighting the same battles you fight every morning when your attention is pulled in 12 directions before you have even finished waking up. Seneca's core teaching on time, found in his philosophical letters and moral essays, can be paraphrased this way: life is long enough if you know how to use it, but most people waste their days on things that do not actually matter to them, and then complain that life was short. This is not a motivational platitude, it is an observation with teeth. Seneca was not saying you should hustle harder or optimize every minute. He was pointing to something more uncomfortable: that most of us give our time away freely to things we would never choose if we stopped and thought clearly. We drift through days without ever asking whether the things filling our hours are things we actually want to be doing. Think about what you protect. Your money, probably. If a stranger asked for half your savings, you would refuse instantly. If a colleague demanded your car, you would laugh. But when someone asks for an hour of your time with a meeting that could have been an email, you hand it over without hesitation. When an algorithm offers you 45 minutes of content you will not remember tomorrow, you accept the trade willingly. You treat time as though it costs nothing, even though it is the only currency you spend that you can never replenish. Seneca noticed this same contradiction in Rome. People guarded their property with ferocity, but let their hours drain away as though time were infinite. And here is the difficult truth he pointed to. Time is the one resource you cannot earn back. Every other loss can potentially be recovered. Money returns, reputation can be rebuilt. Time, once spent, is permanent. It does not wait for you to realize what you have lost. Now, let me be honest about why this teaching is hard. We live inside systems designed to capture attention. Your phone, your inbox, your social feeds are all engineered to feel urgent. The modern world does not just passively allow distraction, it actively manufactures it. Seneca had to contend with Roman social obligations, political maneuvering, and the pressure of public life. You have all of that plus a device in your pocket that delivers infinite novelty on demand. And there is a deeper difficulty. Sometimes busyness feels like purpose. When your calendar is full, you feel important. When you are always responding to something, you feel needed. Admitting that much of your activity is not meaningful requires a kind of honesty that stings. It means acknowledging that you have been, in a sense, complicit in your own loss. Not because you are lazy or careless, but because the path of least resistance always leads toward giving time away, rather than guarding it. So what do you actually do with this? Let me give you 3 practical applications, one for morning, one for the moment of temptation, and one for evening. In the morning, before you open any device, ask one question. What is the single thing today that I would regret not doing? Not the busiest thing, not the loudest thing. The thing that, at the end of the day, would make you feel you actually lived. Write it down. Put it where you can see it. This takes less than a minute, and it sets an anchor that the current of distraction has to work against. In the moment, when you feel the pull towards something that is not your priority, pause. Just 2 seconds. Ask yourself, am I choosing this or is it choosing me? You do not need to be perfect here. You do not need to resist every time, but the pause itself is the practice. It interrupts the automaticity. It gives you a gap in which judgment can operate instead of habit. Over time, that 2-second pause becomes a quiet form of power. Not control over the world, but control over your own response to it. In the evening, take 60 seconds before sleep. Look back at the day and ask, where did my hours actually go? Not with guilt, not with self-punishment, just with clarity. Like a financial audit, but for time. What did I spend on? Was it worth it? Would I spend it the same way again? This is not about perfection, it is about awareness. And awareness compounds. Here is what changes when you practice this consistently. Not overnight, not in a week, but over months of honest attention. You begin to feel less rushed even when your schedule has not changed. Because the sense of not having enough time is often not about volume. It is about alignment. When you spend your hours on things that matter to you, time feels full rather than frantic. You stop arriving at the end of a year wondering where it went because you were present for it. This is not a promise of invulnerability. Seneca himself did not escape difficulty, political exile, loss, and ultimately a forced death. Stoicism never promised life without pain. What it offered was a framework for living with clarity despite uncertainty. The practice of guarding your time does not eliminate stress. It changes your relationship to it. You begin making decisions about your hours instead of merely reacting to them. Let me zoom out for a moment. In Stoic philosophy, the concept of what is within our control sits at the center of everything. You cannot control how long your life will be. You cannot control the demands others place upon you. But you can control how you respond to those demands. You can control where you direct your attention. You can control whether you choose your hours or let them be chosen for you. And that single distinction between chosen time and surrendered time is what separates a life that feels rich from one that feels empty, regardless of how many years it contains. Seneca, as a Stoic philosopher and statesman navigating the dangerous currents of Roman imperial politics, understood that control over external events was always uncertain, but he kept returning to this idea that the quality of a life is determined not by its length, but by how deliberately it is lived. So think back to this morning. Those 11 phone checks before breakfast. That hour that disappeared without a trace. Now ask yourself something simple. If you knew with certainty that your time was finite and irreplaceable, if you treated every hour the way you treat your money or your health, would today look the same? Or would you spend it differently? You do not need to overhaul your life. You do not need to retreat from the world. You just need to start choosing. 1 hour, 1 day. One honest evening reflection at a time. To paraphrase Seneca's central insight on this subject, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements, if it were all well invested. You are richer than you think, not because you have more hours than you imagine, but because the hours you do have are worth more than you have been treating them. Start today, one choice at a time. Stoicism, master your judgments, practice what is yours to control.